Where tradition meets transformation, this is Think Forward, the podcast for higher education leaders reimagining what's possible in our institutions and communities. I'm your host, Rose Marie Sloan, inviting you to lean in, think big, and shape the future of higher education. Today, I'm honored to welcome Dr. Jose Ricardo-Osorio, an award-winning educator and higher education leader with more than 2 decades of teaching and administrative experience. He's at the University of Houston, downtown, and a new dean, but his research spans student learning outcomes, teacher training, and the application of neuroscience in education, all essential areas for those of us navigating rapid change in our institutions. Jose, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be invited and to be talking to you today.
Well, I know we're going to have a wonderful conversation, and I'm really inspired by your journey. So let's start there. What first inspired you to pursue a career in higher education leadership?
That's a good question. I actually wanted to be a medical doctor. That was, when you're 2, 3, 4, 5, you want to play doctor, you want to be a doctor. Then I realized that I don't like blood. And how can you be a doctor if you don't like blood? But I knew education. I come from a working class family from Colombia, and I knew education was a way for me to move out of the context I was born in. And as a little kid, I knew that there was a way, and I knew was staying school, doing great. Fortunately, I had parents that instilled in me reading. We were the only family in my neighborhood. By neighborhood, I mean an alley. I don't know if you can picture an alley with 10 apartments, a gate, and all the families were friends. And we all have aunties and uncles there. Not related, but because we live there. But we were the only family with a little library. And my mom would buy books, and we have the National Geographic, the Reader's Digest. I remember my dad would bring that. So I decided to actually use those tools and be the best student I could be in school, because I wanted to get my family out of that neighborhood. I knew money was not there, but I knew where money was going to be if I advanced myself. I'm in the sandwich. I have 2 sisters older than me, 2 sisters younger than me, a stepbrother. I was in the middle, but all of a sudden through my journey, I became the oldest because I'm the first one that have gone past a bachelor's, a master's, and then a doctorate.
Wow.
So, but I owe this to my parents, to my dad. My dad loved reading. He would be the person to go to if we had a homework, because he knew a lot. He read a lot with just a 3rd grade background. My mom, 1st grade, but she learned how to make shoes. She had her own little shoe factory in the house. We would help her put the shoes together. So I grew up around creativity, putting things together. Being poor was not a limitation. We used to joke saying that we were rich in vitamins and minerals because we were well fed. So I loved going to school. I knew that in Colombia at the time, moving beyond a bachelor's was, for someone in my family, was very expensive. And started to ask around, and people said, well, you can study abroad. At the time, English was not my second language. I knew English enough to understand Lionel Richie's songs from the 80s. And pretend that I could follow along, but I knew I needed more English, and I decided to pursue a degree in Spanish and English to become a teacher. So I finished my high school, and then I went to the local state university, Universidad del Atlántico in Barranquilla, and I did my bachelor's in Spanish, double major, Spanish-English.
Wow.
Through the British Council, I did my study abroad after I finished because that was the way it was done there. We couldn't do it while studying. We couldn't afford it. So I went to England. So for a long time, I spoke with a British accent. And sometimes I do to throw people off when they, who are you? Why you speak that way? Went to England, went back to Colombia, joined a bilingual school as a first grade teacher. And I knew I still needed to do more because I knew that the answers to the situation that I was seeing in the classroom came from something above me. And one day I was talking to a friend and someone passed by and he referred to him as doctor. And I said, doctor, I thought doctor was a medical doctor. And he said, no, he just came from the United States. And I think it was Michigan State. Tell me more. And this friend told me how he did it. And I'm like, oh my God, I need to go to the United States because, by the way, I wanted to go back to England,
Mm.
but it was not easy to go. I already uh, did it through the British Council. It was a one-time thing. So I decided to pursue the United States. I have a very good friend, Eduardo Pacheco. He's right now in Alabama. He was in Arkansas, and he kept coming on vacation every year to Colombia and would say, hey, Jose, I would like for you to come to Arkansas to do your master's. I kept saying, no, I want to go to England. On year 3, he said, this is the last time. Are you coming or not? I decided, yes, I'm going to give it a go to the United States. Came to Arkansas to pursue my master's in Spanish. And while I was in Arkansas, I connected with the community and I realized that again, I needed to do something for the community, but I needed to do it from a standpoint where I had more answers than questions.
Uh-huh.
So I had the opportunity to stay at the University of Arkansas Fayetteville to pursue my doctorate in higher education because this is interesting. My friends thought that I was going to pursue my doctorate in Spanish literature. And I said, you know what? I like, by nature, I like challenges and I like to stretch myself. You learn in that disequilibrium zone
Mm-hmm.
where nothing is according to plan and you feel like, because learning sometimes makes you sweat, makes you cry, makes you second guess what you're doing. I was at that point and I said, you know what, if I do Spanish, I know Spanish, so I'm going to read literature in Spanish. No, I want to go deeper because I knew the answer was in education. So the University of Arkansas at the time had a doctoral program in higher education / college teaching. And I said, I'm going to pursue that one because I want to keep a foot in the classroom because someone in higher education or in education administration without connection in the classroom is an actor without roles on TV. All they are saying, I'm an actor. But if they don't see you on TV, they don't believe you. So if I'm going to be an educator, administrator, and I say I'm not in the classroom and I'm
Yes.
producing research that tells people what to do in the classroom, I'm not believable. So I needed to be in the classroom. So that's why I pursued that / college teaching. Since my background was languages, what I'm going to teach Spanish education, foreign language education. So I became, when I graduated, got the job at the University of Shippensburg University of Pennsylvania as a Spanish / foreign language educator. So I taught Spanish, French, and I supervised student teaching in Spanish and French. But being in the now as a doctor, Jose Ricardo, I'm like, okay, yes, I teach Spanish, I teach methodology, I'm supervising student teachers, but I belong to an ecosystem that is the university, Shippensburg University, and I need to speak the language of people that don't do what I do, that I could speak with anyone regardless of their background. So I need to become more than a teacher of Spanish. I need to become an educator.
Mm.
So any opportunity I had when I arrived in 2005 at Shippensburg University of Arkansas, Shippensburg University of Pennsylvania, sorry. I decided to take advantage of that opportunity to learn from outside of my comfort zone, which was teach Spanish and foreign language education, supervise student teachers. Because when I heard the department chair saying we cannot add a new section, I didn't understand why. Her
Yeah.
answer did not her answer did not satisfy my inquisitive mind as to why.
Yes. Yeah.
So I said, okay, I'm working on a concept that I call net engagement. And in net engagement, a net engager is someone that connects with the ecosystems and finds other net engagers to know exactly how things are done and why. Not just, oh, this is what it is, and that is the answer that I'm going to take as faith value. I need to know why. So I told my chair at the time, I know I'm working on my dissertation. They hired me as ABD, but I would like to be on committees. And she said, I'm worried to give you a committee because you will not finish your dissertation. And I said, listen, if I believe in statistics, I will not be here. I'm first generation to college, minority. All the statistics say that we are
Right.
not going to go there. And she said, you convinced me. So she gave me my first committee assignment was to be part of the general education curricular committee. Since I was working on my dissertation, and my dissertation was on student learning outcomes in foreign language, but you extrapolate student learning outcomes, it's across the board, it's the
Yes.
same.
Mhm.
So I brought to the table what I was finding in my dissertation when it comes to the use of assessments, performance-based assessment for learning outcomes. So again, going back to your question, why I became a professional in higher education, because I wanted to find answers. And every time I moved from step 1 to step 2, I knew that those answers were given, but I knew there was something above, something above. And I needed to go from the local to the broader.
Yes.
So, and then I use my connections. Fortunately, my preparation at the University of Arkansas in the doctoral program, since my doctoral program was higher education administration / teaching, I had information about administration that my colleagues that were just teaching French, Spanish, Chinese did not have. And they
Yeah.
always said, why are you always asking those questions? Because I was always asking questions when I was talking to deans, to the provost, and they saw something in me to the point that they recommended me to be the next chair.
Oh, wow.
And after 5 years at the university, the chair said, you know what, I would like for you to succeed me. And I said, give me another year because I still feel I'm still a little wet behind my ears. And,
Okay.
and she stayed. She stayed, and I said 1 year. I said 1 year. I finished my appointment on the committee of General Education Committee. I had more information, more background, more context, and I put my name in the hat for department chair, and they elected me. So then I knew that's the first move, department chair. How about dean? How about
Why not?
associate dean? And here I am now.
And here you are.
It was a long journey, but I think the time and the pacing was perfect for me
Yeah.
because now I'm ready. Coming here to the University of Houston downtown after 20 years, Shep had been I'm fitting in. It's 3 months, and people say 3 months already, and because I already know things that probably would have taken me 5 years ago, would have taken me a year.
Yeah. And what I'm hearing you say so beautifully is that your journey was guided by you, that there were some of those people who believed in you
Mhm.
that wanted to push you a little quicker than you were ready to be pushed. And you had a voice in saying, I'm not quite ready yet. I need a little bit more time here. And I want to gain a little bit more knowledge and experience. So that way, when I do go for that next position, I'm going to be prepared and ready. And are we ever really truly prepared and ready? Well, maybe the answer is yes, maybe no. But for you, you really had a voice for yourself. And I love that you brought up the student learning outcomes and the assessments. And so your research really focuses there. Let's move there
Okay.
quickly. Let's dive into that. And let's talk about what organizations, what institutions are doing. So, what are we doing today that's right? And where can we learn so that way we're better?
I think we are not, and it depends on the organization, it depends on the individual faculty member. I think we are not where we should be, but I think we're moving the needle.
Okay.
Research has demonstrated that when my teaching, my assessment practices reflect my teaching, students know exactly what's going on and how they are going to demonstrate learning.
So you're talking about expectations.
Expectations. I'll give you an
Okay.
example. If I'm teaching you how to swim
Mm-hmm.
and I teach you, let's say through a video, you never touch a swimming pool. But I show you the videos, you practice in your living room, you do the strokes, you get a little wet with sprinkled water just to make it like, oh, it's a simulated situation.
Okay.
And you do it for 1 year. And then the test is come to the swimming pool, the real one. And I say jump, and you jump. What do you think is going to happen to you, Rosemary?
Oh, absolutely. I'm probably not going to stay above water. I'm not going to know exactly what to do. I don't have any experience in the water
Because
I haven't been trained in the water. There hasn't been an expectation that I need to get from one side of the pool to the other. And training in your living room, in my opinion, is a little different than training in a pool, right?
exactly, because the teaching did not mirror the assessment.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
And then the disconnect is then you as a student, what are you going to think about you as a student?
Yeah, I'm probably going to think that I'm not competent, that I can't do this. I won't be confident because we're not equating what we're actually doing outside of the classroom with needs to be done and modeled in the pool.
Exactly. So you're going to feel as a student a failure.
Yeah.
Failure means I'm not good at this.
Mm-hmm.
You may not finish. Let's assume that your degree is in swimming. After the first year, you're going to drop because you feel that you are not cut to do this.
Yeah.
When in fact was that what I was doing to you as an instructor did not
Right.
prepare you to
Right.
do well on the assessment that I also
Absolutely.
prepare for you. Let me give you another example that I actually use when I give my presentations, my workshops.
Okay.
Especially what the naysayers about assessment. I said, okay, let's assume this is medical school.
Okay.
And surgeons went through the surgery class, and all the exams they took were multiple choice. A, B, C, D for surgery. Scalpel, A, B, C, sutures, everything. And then they graduate.
Mm-hmm.
They have a diploma as surgeons that says you are a surgeon. So I tell my attendees, you have student A that went to med school and he learned surgery and all the exams were multiple choice. Then you have student B that went to med school, took the classes, then did a residency for a year
Mm-hmm.
with a trained surgeon that was mentoring, providing guidance, scaffolding, or as we call in education, the zone of proximal development by Guskey, moving them from point A to point B. And then the student graduated with a diploma in surgery. You need a surgery. Who of the two are you going to go to?
Oh, that's obvious, right?
Exactly.
It's absolutely obvious.
And then the naysayers in my audience will go, I know what you're saying now. Exactly.
Right. It's
A multiple choice is telling me that the surgeon recognizes equipment,
yeah.
remembers theory, but it's not telling me, can they perform surgery?
Right.
Can they actually operate on someone and not kill the person or leave a gauze or a pair of instruments, something. I don't know. The second student went through the training, and then the assessment of their learning was performance based.
Correct.
That's
So what you're talking about is practical application. And so our outcomes are powerful when we have practical application to assess our students. And we move from, maybe what's traditionally done, which is the multiple choice, to the transformational part, which is that application piece. And so when we think about it in that context, let's take it a little deeper now. Let's talk about teacher training. So if faculty are the heart of higher education, what can we do to prepare faculty to move from the traditional approach to the more transformational, practical application approach? And I know there's wonderful faculty out there that are already doing this. So how can we help move those who aren't and help grow those who are?
That's a very good question, Rose, because you know that in higher education, 99% of faculty come from a doctoral program, could be a PhD or an EDD, that trains them on their subject matter,
right,
and on research.
It's a lot of theory.
Exactly.
I'm hearing there's a lot of theory, a lot of research.
We are experts in fill in the blank.
Yes.
But they don't prepare us on how to teach that subject matter. Most importantly, how to engage the student from the beginning in the subject matter so the student understands what it is to be, let's say, taking a philosophy class or a Spanish class, psychology, pedagogy, whatever subject matter it is. So usually we teach the way we were taught. If we're lucky enough to have a good teacher, we might imitate. But if we had not so good teachers, we are going to probably repeat the death by PowerPoint sort of thing.
Our poor students.
Exactly. So some programs, some doctoral programs are including some pedagogy. Some institutions, including the one I'm right now in University of Houston downtown, are allowing faculty members to use the training from AQ. AQ is an organization that has put together pedagogical modules that would train teachers in higher education on how to be effective teachers. And they can go module by module, or they can go and do a 9-month boot camp, so to speak, training where they are going to get a certificate that validates their effectiveness as a teacher in higher education.
So then what advice, with the research, the experience, the expertise you have in this teacher training field, what advice would you give to leaders that are outside of your organization, maybe even outside of your state, to really invest in faculty?
This is a very good question, because I think that we are putting a lot of money, millions of dollars, in processes and policies, but there is an important P, that is people.
Yeah.
We have processes. We put a lot of money to increase, that the students pass exams. Policies, we create new policies to add A, B, C, and D language, you name it. But there is very, very little money invested in people.
Yeah.
And people could be faculty members, could be staff, anyone that has something to do with the learning experience of the students. So my recommendation for people in leadership positions where they have to decide, they have to allocate funds for professional development, is to bring the spotlight on teachers. And this applies also for K-12 teachers, not just not just higher education teachers, but anyone in the teaching profession. And by professional development, we need to rethink the definition of professional development.
How so?
Because there is an individualistic agenda. What I want to do as a professional, and that is decided by me.
Yeah.
I decide if I want to become an expert in AI.
Mm-hmm.
I decide if I want to become an expert in the use of technology in my teaching my craft. But I think the professional development that we all need to have when we are in the field of education, at any level, pre-K 4, middle school, high school, higher education, is going back to the basic of the science of learning,
Mm.
how the brain learns.
So you're moving us into the neuroscience piece of this and the application for educators.
Exactly.
Okay. So
Right.
what does that look like then, Jose, in practice?
Okay, this is interesting. We have technology now that we didn't have even 20 years ago, 30 years ago, that has produced data
Mm-hmm.
that validates certain behaviors that should happen in the classroom or any learning setting, because let's remember that learning could happen outside of the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
That demonstrate that learning is more effective when certain conditions are met. But in spite of that, you still go and you register for a class, and what you see when they give you the description, lecture,
Yeah.
lecture, lecture. When we know for a fact that the brain does not learn through lecturing. I don't want to say, just before I start getting letters, that lectures do not have any role. Of course they do, but they should
You're
not be.
talking about a balance, is what I'm hearing you say. You're
Exactly.
talking about a balance. It
Exactly.
cannot be all application and it cannot be all lecture. And
Yeah.
I'm assuming too, it doesn't all have to be in person. Some can be hybrid, some can be in a lab, some can be. So we're talking about what's in the best interest of the student in order to learn. And it goes right back to those outcomes, is what I'm hearing you say. Is that
Exactly. And
okay?
also the curriculum. The curriculum should be set out in a way that the students are going to see the same concepts through their journey in different ways,
Okay.
taught by different people with opposing views,
Okay.
because that's important. We need to
Yes.
provide a mosaic of ideas.
I love that.
And that is something that the university as a concept is losing.
Oh.
We either A or B.
So what I'm hearing too is diversity of thought, diversity of perspective, and diversity of style, meaning teaching style. So you may have one faculty member who is really well versed and is going to provide a presentation on this, and another one who's more hands-on in doing something like this to meet the student. That is definitely out of tradition and into a very thinking forward transformational approach to education. And so in neuroscience, I'm going to stay in that space for just a little bit. What insights from neuroscience should every educator know? You started to talk about creating the environment for the student, but what else should educators know?
Okay, there is something simple that neuroscience is telling us. The brain remembers things that we do.
Okay.
That's why they are recommending going back to writing. Writing. When you write, you take notes, you remember, because your brain connects your writing, the content, and puts them in your short-term memory, and eventually it will go to your long-term memory. So if I am learning something and I only see it from, let's use the Bloom's taxonomy, the triangle, the understanding part, the base, where I just need to recall, list, remember, I'm using just my short-term memory just to remember a number, to remember a date, to remember a concept. But if I don't put that into practice, if I don't go into the creation, analysis, producing the top of the pyramid, I'm not going to recall. I'm not going to remember. And by the way, I'm just talking about a regular brain.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's talk about neurodivergent brains.
Okay, yes.
That actually throws in a range into the mix, because now as educators we have our students, and not all of them learn the same way at the same pace. That's another thing that neuroscience is telling us.
So differentiation of instruction, or differentiation of how we're going to lead this particular course.
Yeah, universal design. Yes.
Yeah.
Just because I taught it, that doesn't mean it was learned.
They've learned it.
Because we talk about the process of teaching and learning. Learning, actually, this is how I put it, the processes of teachings and learnings, because it's plural.
Yeah.
Even if I'm talking about a single topic, and we have singularized the process of teaching and learning like it's just one teaching and like it's one learning.
Yeah.
Oh, it's actually multiple teachings, different ways, and then multiple learnings. Another thing that neuroscience is telling us is that learning is not always pleasant.
Oh, expand on that just a bit.
You know, when we were little kids and we did something, we got a little sticker and everything was la la land. So kids are being taught that learning is always pleasant. That
or it always should be pleasant.
It should be pleasant. And they move through elementary school, and then they go to middle school, and then things are becoming they are growing, their brains are growing, they are start making connections, their frontal lobe, the executive functions are sharper. And I'm talking about a regular brain, because again, in neurodivergent brains, those processes may not happen.
Yeah.
So then there's when theory collides with practice.
Things get harder.
And they get frustrated because that learning is no longer pleasant. They are not getting a sticker. They have to work hard and they have to do more, because they were presented as in learning is not learnings. And they should also know that when you're learning, you may feel frustrated, and it's okay to feel frustrated. Okay. That when you're learning, you may feel anxious, and it's okay. In fact, that's good, because the brain is telling you, you are challenging me, because learning means challenge, and you grow with challenge. Like when you go to the gym, if you keep doing biceps with 5 pounds for 2 years, your muscles are not you're
not going to grow.
Don't grow. What makes the muscle grow is the challenge. Is actually the little tears, and then the muscles, the cells get together, create new tissue, and that's the same happens in the learning process and to the brain. You know that the brain is so powerful that we need to nurture the brain, because this is another thing that neuroscience is telling us. There is a close connection between nutrition and learning. Okay, so let's go back to elementary school. Kids come to school and they eat a lot of sugar, a lot of processed food, very little protein. They don't drink water. They don't exercise. And they are immediately creating a lazy brain. I call it a brine. You know, when you put things in brine, it's there, it looks nice, but it's not producing. It's dead. So when I was a first grade teacher at a school in Colombia, this was a private school where kids have maids in their houses. They have maids. But in my classroom, I got a broom and a mop. And I told my students, you can drink water, but if you spill water, you get the mop and you mop it.
You clean it up.
Oh, they were not used to doing that because they had someone at home. I said, well,
Right.
in my classroom, you have to do it. So they would come because it was too hot with a thermos full of soda, sugar. So in my first PDO, I told my parents, I said, I respectfully suggest that you replace the soda with lemon water, not lemonade,
Lemon
water
water.
with lemon. Of course, up in arms. I almost lost my job. But then I explained to them, I said, there is the connection between sugar and hyperactivity. And I said, give me a month. If this doesn't work out, they can bring all the
They can
soda
go
they
right.
want.
Right.
With a little of opposition, they accepted the challenge. And I told my students, I said, listen, let's try to do this just with lemon and water. In 2 months, the students were more focused. The hyperactivity went down.
Yeah.
They were more connected. They were more aware. They
Mhm.
were less sleepy because, of course, you drink half a gallon of soda, your brain goes into standby. And now let's go to high school, to college. Students live on hot dogs, hamburger, and pizza.
Mm.
They come to an exam with no breakfast, so there is no glucose in the brain, and their brain is not producing. They studied for the exam. I don't discount that. I know they did. But the brain needs nourishment to retain information.
Yeah.
Another thing that neuroscience is telling us that we are not paying attention to is that less is more.
Ah.
If I want to learn something, I have to do it in chunks.
Yeah.
And we as teachers, what we do best, a lecture with 50
A lot of
slides,
material. Yeah.
a lot of information.
Yes. My background is in teaching. We had this conversation that I started my career as an elementary school teacher, and so I'm listening and I'm going, yes, yes, it was there. I was also one of those teachers that did the same thing that you did, that really encouraged parents and tried to support parents to providing water, as you talk about, or more healthy options. It's very challenging for those students in lower socioeconomic environments. It becomes very challenging. And so finding ways for the school to help the students and the parents with that so that the student had more opportunity to be able to be present, as you talk about, with what the brain is actually experiencing, and the rush and then the drop and the decline, and how you could see that. Um, I know we're coming to the end here, and there's so much more that I want to talk to you about. I'm going to consider this part 1 of our conversation. Would you do me the honor of coming back for part 2?
Oh, it would be a pleasure.
I would love that, because I'd really love to hear about some practical applications as well as hopes and desires for the future to address some of these issues that we had, and then advice for higher education leaders and how to, learn from your research and how we can move forward and truly move from the more traditional approach to becoming more transformational. So I want to think forward more with you. Would that be okay?
I would love that.
Oh, I would love that too. For those of you listening, I'm really hoping that you are wondering about all of the wonderful areas in terms of student learning outcome assessments, creating expectations, thinking about, how you were trained, and then what's really effective for the student of today, the now student, the value of education, but also taking it all the way back to the neuroscience. And so, Jose, your wisdom and vision has really inspired me today, and how you're redefining the thought process for where higher education can go and to support the student needs. And so until next time, for us working together, I'm encouraging all of you to think forward, lead with change, be present, and help shape the future. Follow us on Instagram, YouTube, go to my website, ourleadershipjourney.com, email me at thinkforward@ourleadershipjourney.com. Jose, we're going to talk again soon. Thanks so much.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Mhm.